Tonight we're going to look at fun with fractions. We are going to do a few different things. Our objectives of our lesson today are going to be to define what a fraction is, to identify a numerator and a denominator, and create equivalent fractions and even simplify some fractions. Hello, it's Miss Durand again. How are you? I hope you're having a good evening, and I'm glad you're taking some time to learn about fractions. Fractions are so important. You're going to see them everywhere in your life, and you're not going to realize how much you use it until you get started. Now, what I'd like to do is start out. I may be hard to see because I wanted you to be able to see the smart board in my lesson, so I may be a little bit dark, but you may see the shadows of me, and my face probably lights up from the smart board itself, so hopefully I'm not in the way of your learning tonight. So I may kind of step aside and be in the shadow. Fractions. What are fractions? Fractions are parts of a whole. As you see here, there are a few examples of some fractions. We have a sandwich, which most of you might have had for dinner tonight, or maybe you had pizza, or an orange along with your dinner. Now, these are all in fractions. And here's a few examples down here of some of those fractions. We have a sandwich cut in two. So we have 2 pieces of a whole. We have a pizza that is cut into 8 pieces. So we have 8 pieces of a whole. And we have our orange, which is cut into 2 pieces, but it's interesting when we look at these 2 pieces that there are fractions on those pieces as well. So we can break it down many, many different ways. And we're going to focus on that tonight. Let's go to the next screen. And you will see here that there are different ways to read fractions. We don't always just say, 1/2 is a half. There are many ways. Now, if we look at this fraction, you may look at it and say, well, that's 5/6, Miss Durand. But we can also say it as 5 out of 6, 5 divided by 6, or 5 pieces out of 6 in all. And so they're kind of referring to this piece of pie up here that is cut up. Now, part of our fraction has a numerator and a denominator. All right, and we have it kind of in red here, showing it's the denominator or the numerator, and this is the denominator. Now, what I'm going to do, you can't do this at home, so I am going to do it for you. When we move this over, it says drag each term through this tunnel to see its meaning. So I'm going to drag the numerator through, and voila, we have the actual meaning of what a numerator is. A numerator tells us how many pieces are in use. The denominator then shows us how many pieces makes one whole. Okay, so it's kind of like how many pieces of the whole are being used in this fraction, or what we're looking at as a fraction. Okay, so let's review real quickly. The numerator tells how many pieces are in use, and the denominator tells us how many pieces make one whole. And I'll be referring to the numerator and the denominator as the lesson goes on. Now, we're going to put the pieces back together. We're going to click in the empty spaces after the equal signs and pull all the tabs for more information. Now, that sounds really confusing, so don't worry about those directions. But if we look here, we have our orange. Okay? Our orange is cut into 2 pieces, right? So we have one of the 2 pieces plus another one of the 2 pieces. So we have half the orange plus half an orange. And what do we get? Drum roll. Well, that's not our answer. That's telling us something else. Let's see. Our answer, of course, is 1. So I'll go ahead and write that up. I thought the answer was going to come over, but I am mistaken. And down here we have our apple, which is cut into 4 pieces. And if we look at them separately, we have a 4th, plus a 4th, plus a 4th, plus a 4th. And again, that equals, because we're putting them back together, 1 whole as well. Okay? So we're looking at a whole object split into pieces. A whole object split into pieces. Now, let's pull over what I wanted to pull over before. And it says, when adding fractions with the same denominator, you add the numerator but leave the denominator the same. So that's one rule that's very important. And I wish, whoops, I'm going to try to leave this up here because it's such an important rule. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. So when we're adding and our denominators are the same, our problem is easy, isn't it? Okay? All we do is keep the numbers the same on the bottom, and we add the top. So if we actually erase our 1 that's here, we have the denominator, which is the same. Oh, I forgot to put my eraser back. And we have our 2. And if we add the tops, 1 plus 1, we get 2, and 2 over 2 is equal to 1. And the same thing goes for down here. Our denominators, again, here are our denominators. Our denominators are the same, so our addition problem is easy. That stays the same. Erase this one here. And we then add our tops, the numerator. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And we get 4 out of 4. I really don't like that I used 2 different colors. And that also equals 1. Okay? Pretty basic, pretty basic. Now, we're also going to look at equivalent fractions. We have 2 pieces of, or we have 2 pies sitting here, and one of the pies is cut in half. That's a really big piece of pie. And our other pie is cut into fourths, which I would much rather have a smaller piece of pie. I'm trying to watch my figure and all. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Do you see that? It is the exact same amount here as it is here, but it's just cut into smaller pieces. The same as 1/3 equals 2/6. Okay? Maybe you're on a diet and you want to only have one piece of the pie, and that's a 1/6, but it wouldn't be the same as 1/3. You'd have to have 2 pieces of pie over here to equal the 1 piece cut in thirds over here, and so forth. We have 1/4 of the pie versus 2/8, but it's the exact same amount. No matter what, you're getting the same amount of pie, whether you get 1 of the 3 pieces or 2 of the 6 pieces. Okay? Alrighty, as we continue on, we're looking at creating an equivalent fraction. To create an equivalent fraction, we have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So, if we take 2/5, and let's keep it simple, we're going to just multiply by 2. And when we multiply by 2, we have to do the numerator and we have to do the denominator to get our equivalent fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4. Way to use your math skills. And 5 times 2 is 10. We now know that 2/5 is equal to 4/10. Okay? Now, if I simply draw this out to give you a better understanding, trying to make those about the same. That one's probably a little bit longer. What did I do with my eraser here? Okay, that's pretty close. We're going to separate these out into fifths. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this one's into tenths. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 and we have 5. So if we color in, I'm going to find my red pen, 2 of our blocks, or 2 bites of my candy bar, and we color in 4 over here, you see that it's about the same. Okay? About the same amount of the candy bar that's eaten. Now, we're not going to do all of these. I just wanted to show you an example. I'm going to move right along. And it says, let's make equivalent fractions. What I would like for you to do right now is take out your note-taking paper, if it's not already written on, which you should have been writing down what a numerator and a denominator is. So if you haven't, I would rewind. And what I would like for you to do is choose any 4 of these fractions and make an equivalent fraction. You can multiply it by 2, by 3, by 4, by 5, whatever is easiest for you. But you need to choose 4 of these fractions right here and multiply it by any fraction to get an equivalent fraction. And tomorrow we will start right there on equivalent fractions. All right, have a nice night, and I will see you in the morning, bright and early. Bye.